Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zack, and today I am driving a 1993 Chevy Corvette. Up front is a 5.7 liter LT1 V8, and down below is a 6-speed manual transmission. Now I am super excited to be driving this Corvette because it's a Corvette. Now, I've been driving a lot of Corvettes here on the channel. To celebrate the 250th anniversary of the United States, I've been trying to drive almost every generation of Corvette, and I've driven several C4s as well. But those were both special edition cars, the Grand Sport and the Collector's Edition. Well, this is just a plain Jane normal Corvette, and I'm going to share with you today why that's actually a really good thing. But if you'd like to submit your own vehicle and have it reviewed here on the channel, you can head on over to my website, zackpradel.com/submit. It's a quick and easy submission form. It takes under a minute to fill out, and I come out to you. And if you'd like to see all my videos weeks or sometimes months in advance, you can head on over to my Patreon for only $5 a month. But let's get back to that 5.7 liter V8 under the hood. Well, in this format, it makes 300 horsepower. It is a very fun, very good engine. However, something not good about it is the OptiSpark. So, back in the early 90s, GM was using OptiSpark on some of their V8s. It was basically a distributor at the front of the crankshaft that was really high tech for the time. It was able to diagnose and read the engine a lot better than before, and it could kind of tune itself to run a little bit more efficient and give you a little bit more power. It's actually a pretty genius system. What wasn't genius about it is that it actually sits underneath the water pump. And so when the water pump begins to weep, or just any moisture in total, because they didn't add venting to the OptiSpark until 1995. So this year car, it doesn't have the venting and it just collects moisture, it breaks. And it breaks a lot. And this car is on its 4th OptiSpark system. But besides that, it runs great and it's fantastic. It just has one little Achilles heel. Now, like I said, paired to it is a 6-speed manual transmission. Fantastic throw into gear, nice and friendly clutch, definitely heavier than what you'd find in like a Miata or S2000, but still a decently friendly enough clutch. It's not a leg workout anytime you're gonna take the car out. Notchy, and it seems to be geared pretty good for both sporty and city driving, but some of the gears can be a touch tall. That's not necessarily a bad thing. However, the shifter does have the skip shift feature, so when you're under 33% throttle, it's going to try to make you shift from 1st gear into 4th gear. If you stiff arm it, you can tell it not to do this. It is a little bit annoying, but this was how GM was trying to save a couple MPGs here and there. Last but not least, of course, the Corvette is rear wheel drive. How does it feel to drive the Corvette from 1993? It's great. You know, I'm always skeptical of Corvettes. I'm not a big Corvette fan. I'm not a big Corvette guy. But that all stops anytime I get behind the wheel of one. These are simply lovely automobiles, incredibly engineered, and they are just, quite frankly, down to clown. They're fun. They're so fun. Let's see how fun. 1st gear, 2nd gear, 3rd gear, 4th. There's not a whole lot of fanfare or like craziness going on with this engine. As you just saw there, did a nice pull. It was great. It was solid. It was meaty and beefy like I want it to be. But, you know, it's not throwing me back in my chair. I'm not upchucking my lunch, of which I have not had yet. It's just solid, consistent, and great. And that honestly kind of sums up the Corvette. Thank you guys so much for watching. Nah, I'm just kidding. But with that stuff out of the way, let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have 5 physical gauges and a digital gauge. So off to the left is the tachometer. Off to the right, we have oil pressure, oil temperature, coolant temperature, and battery voltage. But then we do get a digital gauge here in the center. This was pretty futuristic for 1993, so definitely cool to see. On the steering wheel, we do have our horns, but that's it. And off to the left, we have our climate control vent, traction control, our headlights and dimmer switch, fog lights, and then this actually switches to being on the door, but it's in the same row. We have our power mirrors, power windows, locks, and latch to get in and out. Moving into the center, we do have another climate control vent, and then we have our trip monitor system. So we get like fuel info, gauges, trip odometer, fuel and trip reset, Love this here. We also get our warning lights in the center. You will see that engine service light is on. That is for the OptiSpark, because the OptiSpark has failed for now the 4th time. We do have our climate controls, nice, small, and concise here. Temperature set, little lights designated where it's being sent, and auto and heated mirrors as well. We have our radio. This is the original radio with a CD player back in '93. Very cool to see that, as well as a cassette Gold series. We have bass and treble adjustments, sort of weaning off the 1980s. You could tell here, this is very, very like high-tech audio when there was an emphasis on that. We get the shifter in the center, nothing really too interesting about the shifter, and we do have tiny little cup holders off to the right, so we will do a big friggin' bottle test, but obviously it fails. We do get our power seat adjustments, so very, very nice in here. And this particular C4 does have individual seat adjustments for the driver and passenger. In the other cars that I've recently reviewed, they have a switcher where the same set of controls operates both seats. So I actually like this setup better, but something to note. We do get a giant center console as well, and the seats. The seats are very sporty, although they are very cushiony, so they are relaxed, and I like them a lot, but they do have somewhat high bolsters, and getting in and out of the C4 is not very graceful. You do have a very big ledge to step over, and you gotta sit down into it. So if you're a bigger gentleman like me, it might be a little odd to get in and out of, but not the worst thing in the world. And you will notice that this does say 40, and that's because this was the 40th anniversary of the Corvette. However, this isn't a 40th anniversary edition. However, we don't have any back seats, but we do have a trunk, so let's hop out back there. So I don't know if I've ever shown this, but you can pop the trunk from a button in there, and that will actually lift the rear glass. So very, very nice. Something I also love to point out is the rear gas cap is underneath this little door. Very, very cool. Once we are back here, there is these little latches, the sort of section right here you actually put a targa top into, and I'll show that from another review. It actually slides and locks in place there, so you can take the targa top with you. But without the targa top in the back, you actually do have a decent amount of trunk space, which is very, very nice. We do have our Delco Bose Gold Series speakers as well. A lot of these C4s that I've driven have had that sound system, which is pretty good, but there you go. Is this going to be the #1 grocery getter on your list? Probably not, but it does have a decent amount of space, a couple duffel bags, weekend trip, week-long road trip across the desert. Yeah, you're gonna be able to fit stuff back here pretty well. And you don't really see this a whole lot in modern sports cars, so definitely nice to see. We put it down like that. And the owners have always told me these 2 dots, palm of your hand, there you go. Just like that. Now we gotta talk about the looks, and I like the look of the Corvette. Of course, it is special to be driving a little red Corvette, and this is probably at least a little bit closer to what Prince was actually singing about. He's probably singing about a C3 if I had to guess. But little red Corvette here today. I absolutely adore that aspect of this review, and I think the C4 is handsome. You know, the more time I spend with them, the more I like them. That seems to be the case with people in my life too. With all of that being said, let's get on to my final thoughts. What do I think driving another C4, but this time a regular C4? Well, that's the reason I wanted to do this review. I've reviewed a lot of special cars and special Corvettes over the last several weeks, days, and months. And I think because they mass produce the Corvettes, because they build so many of them, there's this highlighted or heightened interest in being unique. Every Corvette owner, you know, there's the stereotype of my Corvette's best Corvette. It was the 8th one built on a Wednesday during a rainstorm. You know, everyone tries to make their Corvette sound unique. And you even see that in the special editions, the Grand Sport, Collector's Edition, Anniversary Edition. You get all of these crazy additions and modifications and trim levels and things like that. Everyone wants to be unique. The truth of the matter is that this experience that I'm having here today, and this vehicle in general, is not special. It is not unique. The owner, John, bought it brand new in 1992, December of 92. He bought it off the showroom floor and has owned it ever since. It's a one-owner vehicle. And while it is special to John, he's lived 30 plus years with this vehicle, it's not special in the grand scheme of it all. It's not a special edition. It's not a one-off. It doesn't have a rare color. But I think that that's good. And I think that we need more emphasis on regular cars like this. Not everything needs to be special. And that's okay. That's the point I want to make. It's okay to not be special because this car is still freaking fantastic, even though it's not special. They built a million of them just like it. It's not a singular experience, but that's okay. It's like a cheeseburger. Everybody loves cheeseburgers. Now, some people go and add bacon or a fried egg or avocado or haystack onions to it, and they make it special and unique and interesting, but at its core, it's still fantastic, and that's how this car is. This is a run-of-the-mill, hot off the grill cheeseburger. So sure, no one's gonna write a magazine article about it, but it's still fantastic, and being behind the wheel is lovely. That V8 is great, the transmission's great, the targa top is wonderful, the features in here, the looks, you get that Corvette look. Just because a house is made out of 1,000 bricks that are identical doesn't mean that each individual brick isn't important. They are. They're just not special. And I think that's actually a huge strength, because now there's also no expectations. I came to this review knowing that it's a normal Corvette. I've driven the special ones. Those are high, 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 and this is gonna be low, low, low. That's not the truth. This is almost as high as those cars, and I like that a lot. Be a good person, try to make someone stay better, and if you can, drive a Corvette. No matter the trim level, drive a freaking Corvette. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to John for letting me borrow his Corvette here today. I've reviewed his vehicles in the past as well as his son's vehicles in the past. I really appreciate all of them for making this possible. John is wonderful to work with, and it's just cool to be seeing and driving something so special that's been in a one-owner home its entire life. So huge thank you to John. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys.